So I've known Dan for probably 8 years, going on 9 years now.
When I met him, he was making no money and living on his parents' couch.
And now he has almost 40 agents in his organization, regularly, produces multiple six figures in commissions, only prospects a few hours a day doing that, a leader in the organization. So I know he wants to get up here and do his thing. He's ready to push through. So let's welcome Dan Mesrobian to the stage.
I didn't know what this leadership summit was as far as what everybody's going to be talking about. And I want to recognize before I start, everybody that's talked and everybody that will talk today. I had no idea the amount of special people that are sitting in this room right now. And it really is truly an honor for me to be amongst you, which goes to what I'm going to talk about today. Like, I'm better now for being in this room and listening to all of you talk about your lives, your stories, what's going on, what you're doing, where you're going. And in my brain, I'm like, well, how can I help them get there? I'm going to talk today about the word proximity, because to me, and what's true for me, is that word has changed the trajectory of my life. Sometimes up, a lot of times early on down. And we'll go over that today. So the definition of proximity: the state of being near in space or time. And I didn't realize that word near it affects us really daily with what we do. To me, the two most important decisions that I do every day is who am I spending time with and what are we doing? If those two things are not propelling me upward and getting me moving forward or growing, I'm probably not going to do them. But I didn't have that mindset 8 years ago prior to me meeting him. At different times in my life, I've had proximity to people that have affected me in a good manner, everybody here, and in a poor manner, which we'll talk about. So you see me here. This is the Dan that everybody knows, having fun, jovial, loving to get you guys, everybody moving forward, including myself, always there to help. Before I show you this, my early high school years and college years were very similar to Ben Esposito. Partying with your friends, drinking all the time. Basically every weekend was drinking. There were always drugs involved. And even through college, same thing. So I want to show you a picture of me in that time period. Very, very, very stoned and very, very drunk. That's in Myrtle Beach. I thought I was like the king shit. Everybody's like, man, you got some funky hair. How'd you get that hair? And it was all the attention was on me. And I actually found somebody there that could deal weed. That picture, I keep that on my nightstand because it encapsulates who I don't ever want to be again. So I look at that basically every day. Most of my decisions were made because of my friends. What were they doing? What are we doing this weekend? Where are we drinking this weekend? No foundation, no idea about myself, who I am, what I wanted. And the bottom ones are very important. How to express emotion. I had no idea, none, how to communicate. Did anybody else grow up in a house where like louder was better if you wanted to get your point across? That was my experience. So we just started screaming over each other at a dinner table to try and communicate. And I think that's normal because I've never been shown another way. Earning money has always been the biggest problem. No proximity to anybody. So this is poor financial choice number one. That's my GSXR 1000. It's not me on it, but I would do that regularly. The poor decision is not buying the motorcycle. So I was riding bikes when I was 18, 19, to probably in my late 30s, early 40s. When I moved that was when I was at my parents' house. Initially, I didn't move out yet. I was young, but I moved to Hoboken. I couldn't keep it there. Hoboken was a city, so there's nowhere for me to keep it. So I was keeping it at my parents' house. Didn't make sense for me to keep it because I was rarely ever there. So I decided I was going to sell it. I listed it. It was worth around $10,000. And my dad's there and he says, take nothing but cash. These things get stolen all the time. Take nothing but cash. Okay, Dad, sure. People come in. I do an ad for Craigslist for a motorcycle. I get a hit. They're going to pay cash. It's 5 of them. They get to our house. They have a banker's check. That is an actual Bank of America check, just so you know. But what I didn't know is they just wanted the keys, which they got. There was a woman working there. It ended up being a national ring that they were stealing motorcycles by using fraudulent bank checks. And when I was there, my dad's like, do not take that. That's not cash. And I'm like, Dad, it's just as good as cash. It's a cashier's check. He goes, is it cash? It's just, is it cash? And I said, no. He said, I wouldn't sell it, but he let me fail. That cost me $10,000. That was when I was 20, I don't know, no, 30 maybe, 31 in that area. That was like $100,000 to me at that time. Fast forward, now I'm working in Tribeca. I'm doing secondary mortgage buying. So you guys know the movie The Big Short? Everybody ever seen it? Yeah. So I did that. I know every term they're talking about. So what I would do is we would buy these big pools of loans that were dog shit loans, but rating agencies like S&P would rate them high rated. They rate them A paper. There's no problems with them. When no one's underwriting the actual 1,000 files in there to see that it's straw buyers and fraudulent loans. I'm not happy there. I don't want to do that. I'm sitting behind a desk. It's 9 to 5. And I see a sign that they're filming. This is in Tribeca. They're filming the movie The Last First Kiss. Does anybody know what that movie ended up being called? That's Hitch. They changed it because they didn't like the name. And I said to myself, like, shit, like, I want to be in movies. So I called this, there was a number on the, because they block off the street. You ever see the streets blocked off when they like shoot movies? So they blocked off the street. I called the number. It's a casting company. And I said, how do I get into this movie? And they're like, what are you talking about? Who are you? You got to send us your headshot and resume. This movie's already done, but maybe we'll catch you for the next one. I immediately went home, found a photographer, took headshots, and started making up like a fake resume of stuff that I was doing. An agent calls me and says, hey, like, I'm interested in you. Come and meet me. Now I'm starting to book small roles. I start to do some industrials. I've done like Law and Order and The Good Wife. I've met Gary Sinise on CSI New York. We were on Broadway. And then I linked up with Theater Genesis. The guy who founded this was coaching Steve Sharip at the time. Do you guys know who Steve Sharip is? That's Bobby Bacala on The Sopranos. And now he's on Blue Bloods. He's Aaron's, the big heavy guy, Aaron's sidekick. He was coaching him and Michael Ealy, who I think he was dating Halle Berry for a while. 5 years I started performing with them. Positive proximity. My agent starts submitting me for roles over the years. Now we're getting into 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And I get my real estate. I ran into a guy on a set and he's like, how are you an actor? You don't have your real estate license. Positive proximity. These people were helping me get to another level. People that helped me. So this is some of the things I've done. This is like, these are in Walmart and Target. They were. That's me on the box. That's me. That's me and my family. That's me and a family. Yeah. This is a mob movie I did. It's me in there. That's the.
Which one's you?
That's me there.
Blonde hair.
Yeah, right. That's me there. That's a PC Richard flyer. They threw me in PC Richards. Yeah. This is all like print work that my agent would get. That's a corporate industrial with a wig. It's a wig. Yeah. I was teaching people how to, I think it was an HR video. This was the one that was going to push me over the top, I thought. So Blanche Baker is the sister in 16 Candles that took all the pills and was all like wobbly and stuff. That's her. Terry and you know Austin, he's been in everything soap-wise. Randy Jones, who is the cowboy in the Village People, and me. And they didn't like my name.
I was about to say, who's Daniel Gregory?
They're like, your name's too ethnic. So use another name. And they made that up. Yeah.
Yo, start calling you.
Yeah, that's me and Randy. That's the cowboy in the Village People. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So one day she calls my agent and she's like, I got it. Guiding Light. The soap.
Wow.
To get on that is like, that takes you and like you launch. But God had another plan. And what they were going to do, like the scene was already, it was going to be an under 5, which means you have 5 lines or less, but you're on camera. And they were going to like throw me in a tank top, make me like a gardener. And I was thinking we're going to like walk past and stuff. It was a whole thing. But she's like, this is going to take, like, this is what we wanted. All right. God had another plan for me that I was not happy with. I use this picture because that's as close to what I look like the day of the audition.
Really?
She called me on Tuesday and told me this. I told everybody that knew that what I was trying to do. Everyone. Friday morning, I wake up for the audition, and I'm worse than that. Worse than that. Nobody knows. I'm told it's a staph infection. But how do you get a staph infection on your face? I've never had anything like that. Never had like acne or anything. So I call Carol. She's crushed. I'm crushed. And if I could explain and share how many words of like anger I expressed to God for this period of time, wouldn't do me justice. Because I was angry, very angry. So that's all over. So now, and I'm bartending in the city because I wasn't working anymore. The lender fired me. The market changed, actually. 08 happened, and they laid everybody off. So I'm bartending in the city. So now I'm not bartending because they're like, can't come in like that. So now I'm not working. And months go by, nothing is working, nothing. Nothing changes. And I'm now, all right, we'll go where I am. Covered in the staph infection, not bartending, not acting or working. And now I'm not paying rent. So now I'm getting behind on rent. And I fell into a severe depression. And I was basically staying in my apartment all day long, all day. And then my mother said something to me at the time, and I thought at the time it was just a suggestion, but everything changed for me when she said this. So why don't you call Angelina, Jeannie? Maybe she can help you. Because parents in here? When your kid's hurting and ailing and what's the one thing that you just want to do? Take it away. And my mother couldn't do it. And I was like, I felt for her because I knew she was crushed. Because this is going on a year now, a year. And there's nothing she could do. So imagine your kid looking like that, and I'm at their house all the time because now I'm home and I'm there, and I'm home and I'm there. Because they at least give me comfort. You always go home and you run to your parents when things aren't going well. She's a friend of the family. She dropped out of the 8th grade to take care of her family. She was abused and abused physically, mentally, emotionally by her husband, and he divorced her and married somebody 20 years her junior. But she was very spiritually gifted and conscious. So I call her. And I'm angry and I'm frustrated, and she's just sitting there listening to me just rant and rave about how I used to do with you. You're like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. This thing gonna work? I don't know. And at the end of that call, I say to her, I want to know what you know. Sound familiar? She gave me such a calm after talking to her. I said, I need to know what you know. That's her. That's her. God works in very mysterious ways. She's a friend of mine, and there isn't a person on the planet that knows more about me than her. She would literally be like my best friend. So there it began. It was basically a 12-year. Now, she said to me, when I said, I want to know what you know, you know what she says? She says, do you? And I said, yeah. And she said, this could take time. I said, I don't care how much time. 12 years it took. So she says, I'm going to take you to spirit school, not knowing what that even means. What does that even mean? My desire was to just clear me up. I needed to get clear so I can be normal again. God's desire was different. It was to introduce me to his image of me, not my own image of me. Because my image of me was here. God's image of me is here. That's one bin of letters she wrote me, dreams that I wrote with a pad next to my bed that I'd call her. I was on the phone with her 2-3 times a day. This is my experience. Maybe it's not yours. When you get a lot of information, does anybody get tired, really tired, mentally tired? Yeah, me too. To once I passed out on her couch and I woke up and it was midnight and I was like, damn. She's like, I wasn't going to wake you up. So I would drive there back and forth, literally on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I was doing it during the week because I wasn't working. So I wanted more. And I said, can I crash at your place? She has she had a 3-bed house. Can I crash? And then you can just teach me 2 days instead of 1. She said, sure. She was a little hesitant. I didn't know why. So she said, you're in spirit school. I get up one day, it was a Saturday, and I'm in sweats and a t-shirt. And I walk out and she's over there and she was like, and she jams into her room and shuts the door, slams the door. And I'm like, shit, do I have does my fly down and stuff? She comes out and says to me, that's the first time a man's been in my house since my ex-husband. And what I want to do in sharing this information with you is to open your eyes to what could be or what's out there. Real estate is changing. Title's changing.